Hey guys, so in the last video we read back the data from that JWT token that we had created. So in the video before we were creating JWT tokens, and the last video we were reading data from that JWT token, we had parsed it. In this video we're going to attach authentication to our V1 routes, and then we should be pretty much done with our API and we can start getting on something more interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk through this. So the idea is that you want to have a series of routes that you can get to that don't require authentication. But any route that does require authentication, we want to attach in the router middleware that requires authentication. So remember before I had said that this middleware just lets people through? So we're going to, just to demonstrate that, we're going to add some logging to each of the middlewares so that way we can see it actually working. So go to the middleware for, there it is. Okay, so log.println, we'll say main middleware. Okay, then we're going to go to our other router up here, and this is our supposedly authenticated route. So we'll say log.println should only get here if you are authenticated. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go and go to, where is that at? Why can I not find it? Just a second, guys. Okay. All right. So first we need to grab the token off the header, like we've done before. So r.header, so quest.header .get, we'll say x app token, and then we'll say, do we ever? I don't think we ever created a valid function, did we? I guess we can just use this and just check to see if the user ID... Yeah, well, we'll do that. That works. So we'll say login up here, grab this route, and we'll say user error JWT dot get user from token. We'll say token, and then we don't actually, well, we'll pass the user data on to the next request. We'll go ahead and do that. That's fine. And then we'll say, no, we don't need to do that. We'll let the routes grab it if they need it for any reason. If error is not equal to nil, nil, then we'll say, gosh, http.error error w, and then error http dot unauthenticated, unauthorized. There we go. Status unauthorized. What's it complaining about here? Oh, we need to attach. How are we going to do that? So that's probably why we need to have just a valid check, because we don't actually have access to the database here. Oh, okay, we're going to have to do a little bit more work here. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll, so we don't, let's see, we will do, well, actually, we could probably just use the parse, right? Yeah, we can just use the parse. That will actually work. There we go. That will actually work. Because what that will do is that will go and check without having to check the database. Because the problem is if we use this one right here, we have to have the database to grab the user data. And the database is only accessible on the routes themselves. But here we're just checking to see if it's valid or not. So that should work. Okay, so we do have a route here that's behind that router. And this should only be accessible if our authentication token is correct. So let's go ahead and rerun our server here. We will do a curl X. Oh, we're just gonna do get. So header. Let's just do a normal check. So localhost 8000, and we'll see that we just get through the main middleware. Now we'll try and do a v1 route, and this should error out. Token contains an invalid number of segments. V1 routes are okay. So we didn't actually return. So we have an error here with our parse token. So okay. We need to finish this validation out here. Okay, so we have two cases here. We have a default, which is just the one where we can't actually parse the token. So we'll say return 0 errors.new unable to parse token. We can get rid of this return because our default statement handles it. And then our other case is going to be a validation error. So that is of type jwt.validation error. Okay, v error. We're gonna get it off here. jwt.validation error. Okay, and then we're gonna say switch v error dot errors. Okay, and we're gonna say case jwt dot validation error expired. There it is. We're gonna say return 0 errors dot new token has expired. So remember earlier we had actually attached the expiration date and the creation date. Well, this is checking out those values, and then if it doesn't exist or it's invalid, it will pass back this error here. And then we need one more case as well. We need to do the default case, which is a normal error. So we'll actually just print the error for ourselves, v error, and then we'll return 0 errors dot new error parsing token. Okay, what's going on here? Syntax expected, comma. What did I do here? Oh, oops. There we go. There we go. It's okay. We're just gonna. It's fine. Error parsing. We'll follow the standard. There we go. Okay, now we should actually get an error when we try and pass this in. Error parsing token. Okay. So if there's an error parsing token, why are we getting this v1 routes are active? We should be getting should only get here if you are authenticated. So for some reason our v1 route, oh, it's doing both. Return. There we go. And now we should get back that error. There we go. Error parsing token. Okay, so there's no token, and we're actually going to go back and change that token, or token does not exist, and request. Okay, and then now we can actually use a valid token. So we'll say curl health here, header. And I don't really want to retype all that stuff, so I'm just going to copy and paste it here. Copy and paste, and this should work. V1 routes are active. Cool. So now, with a valid JWT token, no one can get past any of these V1 routes. So you can attach any route that you want authenticated right here. And if they want to get to that route, they have to have an authenticated token. But there's also the existence of these other routes down here that they can get to that don't need authentication. So if you want to add like other pages, you want to serve index pages, or even a login form, or these sort of things, you can attach it to right here and not have to worry about it. Okay, so there we go, guys. That's JWT in a nutshell. And I know that was painful and long. It's definitely, I think, in my opinion, the worst part of building APIs is authentication. I normally don't like it. Do it one time and be done with it. One last thing I wanted to note. Like we'd done in this router up here, we grabbed the token and we had just parsed the token to make sure it's valid. If you actually wanted that data, you can use the other function that we had created, the get user data from token. And then in that case, you can in your route. So like in this health route up here, you can use that DB to grab that data from that token. So if you ever need to have more data on there, you can do it that way. And I guess another final note, if you don't have to just attach a user ID to your token, if you wanted to go add a bunch more stuff, you could add whatever you want here. If you wanted to add, all sorts of stuff, you could add whatever you want to this claim. So one thing I wanted to mention, reason why I like to do just the IDs, because the bigger you make the token, the bigger the string, right? So it's probably best to have it as small as possible. That's typically better practice. And if you need the data, then on your routes, you can just grab the data. That way your packets are nice and small. Okay, so that is the last video on building the API. So in the next video, we're going to do something much more fun. So I will see you in the next video.